So I finally got my ace grading return back. I submitted about 8 cards in total. A lot of these were pulled from 151, specifically the Blooming Waters collection box, which I recorded in, I think it was my previous video. There might be another out before this, but there's a previous video maybe before that we pulled some good cards in, and I thought, you know what, we have to get these ones graded. So what I did is I sent 8 of them off, and we're going to unveil the grades today. But before I did that, I actually recorded myself going over the 8 cards and explaining why I wanted to get certain cards graded, and kind of predicted what grades they would get. I guess to see if my pre-grading skills were as good as I say they are. So yeah, we've got the ace grading box here. The seal is still there, so I don't actually know the grades. And I tried so hard to not reveal the grades, and I've done really well. I've done really well. It was on a 5-day turnaround, so I had to wait about 5 days in total for these to come back. But yeah, let's find out what I predicted these cards to be. So this is the stack of cards that we're going to be submitting to ace grading. I believe there's only about 8 here, which is, it's not that many. It's not that many, but the value of some of these can be absolutely crazy if graded in a 10. So the idea behind this is we're going to look through the 8 cards that we have here that we're going to submit to grade in, and I guess pre-grade them and just guess to see what grade they get, basically, and go over my thought process behind why I want to submit these cards specifically. Starting off, we have a Charmander, which was one, I'm not sure if the video might be out yet, but hopefully by the time you're seeing this, we have posted the video. We got this one from the 151 Blooming Waters premium collection, and it would have been it'd be a shame to not get this graded. And to be fair, when I was looking at it, it actually looks pretty decent. Like pretty decent. You know, the centering's like pretty good. There is like, it is a bit like lighter over this way, but it's nothing crazy. The surface looks pretty good. And honestly, the back and the corners, even the edges, like it all looks really good. There is a little bit of a nick in that top corner, which will probably drag it down a little bit, but that's totally okay. I'm happy to get this in a 9, but I have seen some ace cards with that nick in the corner get a 10. So hopefully if all the other grades are 10s, obviously you get the subgrades. If all the other grades are 10s and there's 1 9, usually that makes it a 10. Usually. So fingers crossed with the first Charmander. And in the video as well, we also pulled a God Pack, which is fantastic. And you know what? You just have to get these graded. Especially when we pulled the Charizard, immediately I looked at the centering and then the back, and I thought, you know what? That might be worth grading. So I thought, you know, if we send them all and get them all graded in order, and you get that sequential ace grading number, and if they all come back the same grade, that would look absolutely sick. I would love to sell these on to a Charizard collector if they all come back a good grade, you know? So let's go over the second Charmander of the set. We could potentially, if this one's not that great, we maybe swap it in order of the other one, just to, you know, hopefully get the better grade. But the surface on this one looks pretty good. There's not really any print lines, really. Centering is pretty decent as well. The back is way better than the other one. There is a bit of like a tiny little nick there, but it actually doesn't even look visible. To my eye anyway, but on camera you can see it only if I tilt it that way. You know what? I think that one might get a 10. That's my pre-grade prediction for this one. So this one might get a 10. Hopefully it will get a 10, you know. We want everything here to get a 10 at least. I mean, there's no higher number than 10, so 10 is the goal here. So yeah, that's the second Charmander that we're going to submit. But this one is going to be, you know, in the sequential order of the evolution line. So we'll put that one separately so we don't confuse them. Next up, we have the Charmeleon. This one was an interesting one because I've never really pulled this before, so I don't actually know what I'm looking for. But similarly to the Charmander previously, I think all these 3 cards came from the same God Pack, and I think this one might have actually been the first Charmander. This one might have actually been the first Charmander over here. So it's good that all of these look pretty decent. Centering looks nice. Surface looks good. Corners are kind of okay. There is like some weird rounding at the top of this corner here, but nothing too crazy. And it's usually the surface that lets illustration cards down. So that being said, you know what? I think that's going to be another 10. But maybe that's just my bias here. They're my cards. I want them to get as high grade as possible. So me saying there's probably going to be a 10 or this one's going to be a 10, most likely won't be a 10, but I'm just praying that one of them come back at 10 because that would be really, really nice. So Charmeleon and Charmander both look pretty minty in my personal opinion, and I think they will come back 10s. This is where it gets a bit tricky as well because Charizard, with it being a special illustration rare, there's a lot more room for, I guess, for errors because there's more texture to the card and stuff like that you probably won't see with the human eye. But overall, centering looks pretty neat. Like the centering looks pretty neat on this. It's a bit light over this side, but I'm trying to get some glare on it so I can see the texture of the card. But honestly, it all looks really, really nice. And the back as well. The back looks really, really clean. There is this I don't know. I think I said it on one of the other ones, but there's like a white thing up here. But I think that might just be the way I'm turning the card. That looks all right. I have another Charizard, which the back of it is like absolutely skewed, which is really annoying. But this looks pretty okay. I think this might actually come back a 9, but I'm praying that it comes back a 10. It's the best Charizard that I've had or that I've pulled recently. So I'm praying, we can get the sequential Charmander evolution line all in 10s, and that would just be sick. That would just be so sick. Next up to bat, we have an Alakazam EX. This one actually looks really, really good. So I pulled this from a booster bundle that I picked up recently. In the same pack, actually, it was actually in the same booster bundle that I got another God pack, which was just a crazy booster bundle altogether. But straight off the bat, it looks good. It actually might look better than... Oh, wait, hold on. There is... I don't know if you can see it at the top right over here. There's like a little ding. Maybe that's something that I've done. But hopefully not. There is a little bit of like a white speck in that bottom corner, but the price of this card in a 10 is like pretty high. So I thought, you know what, even if it comes back a 9, I'm not too fussed really. I'd rather risk it, hopefully get a 10 and sell it on to another collector. But yeah, it's a really, really cool card. It might be one of my favorite. This one might actually be one of my favorite cards from 151. There's just so much going on, and it really does Alakazam justice. It's a really cool card. Next up, we have the Zapdos EX, which is what we pulled from the 151 Blooming Waters box. And straight off the bat, I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but straight off the bat, I always look at centering, and if it's within that 60-40 range, I'm like, okay, I'm going to investigate it more to see if it's worth it. This is a bit like heavy on the left-hand side compared to the right, but I actually think it might be within that 60-40 range. It's really clean. There's no damage to the edge of the cards. The back looks actually phenomenal. Like, it looks really, really, really good. Super clean. I like that. That might be a really good contender for a 10. So, like I said, the ones I'm picking out are, I'm hoping to be 10s. I have done some examination off camera, and that's the reason why I've chose these. But I'm just going to go over my thought process and why I wanted to get this submitted. But this is a really expensive card as is. But in a 10, I think it's like, I think it goes for crazy amounts. And just seeing it with that ace label would be absolutely sick. So the next two cards here, these are super interesting choices because this one we pulled in the celebrations video where we opened up the $100 Charizard box, and we had 3 of them. 2 of these were really, really bad, especially on the back. But out of the 3, this one looked the best. Surface actually looks pretty cool, I think. It actually looks decent. The centering on the front is not too bad, but the back is where it could probably be let down. There is some specs in that bottom left, and then some across here. But ultimately, risking it, it's very fine, very, very fine margin to get a 10. But if it comes back a 10, it's like £500, which is a bit mental. But even in a 9, it's like money back on the grade itself. So I'm happy with sending this, and it's a cool little collector's piece. I think even with the ace label, it looks super sick. I don't even think I've graded a full art Pikachu before, so this will This would look really sick with the ace label. So that's my thinking behind this. I think it's probably going to get a 9 with some of that whitening, but we're risking it. Hopefully going to get a 10. Probably won't. If we get a 10, it's sick because it pays for all the grading and then some. So yeah, fingers crossed that this one comes back at 9 at least. Next up is one of my favorite cards, which is the Venusaur EX promo card from XY. This one was from the box that I opened on stream, I believe. We did make a video about that one, actually. It was a very expensive box. It was about $800 for the box. But this one looks really, really nice. It actually, you know, the centering is a bit mad. Like, pretty good. But then on the left-hand side, it feels like it slopes down a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. It, like, angles down a very little bit. Quality looks really, really good. And the thing is with this card, it's almost like an £80 card raw, as long as it's not damaged. So again, I thought I'd risk this because even if it comes back at 10, I think it's like £3,000, which I know for a fact that this one is not going to come back at 10, and I'll show you why in a second. But as a collector, I try and collect odd cards that I like in certain grades. For example, 7s, 8s, 3s. I like collecting 3s because 3 is my favorite number. But even if it comes back a 6, let's say a 6, I'll be happy with a 6 because it will just look really cool, and I want this graded for my personal collection. But hey, if it come back a 9 or a 10, I might consider selling it. I just don't know because the prices are absolutely crazy for this card. But if you guys are ready for the back of this, you'll see why it's definitely not going to get a 10. Ready? So down at this side, there is just an absurd amount of whitening. Yeah, there you go. You can see that. That looks atrocious. So that's definitely going to mark the score down by at least a point or two. And there is some warpage in the card here. See where the light is shining away from it. So that's definitely going to contribute. In all honesty, I would be happy for this to come back as 6 or a 7, but I don't know what the grading system is like for warped cards and like how many, I guess, grading points they'll take off for this stuff. But everything else seems pretty good. I'm hoping it comes back an 8 because I want to start collecting 8s. But if it doesn't come back an 8, as long as it comes back a 6 or a 7 or a 3, you know, I'll be happy with that. I'll be happy with that. But in a 10, it's absolutely absurd amount of money. It's not going to get a 10, but you know, you can only hope, right? Now we finally have the box. I'm very excited to see what grades I got. I did predict a few 10s. Probably don't... I did predict a few 10s, but I don't think all the 10s I predicted were going to be correct. I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping at least 2 or 3 of them are 10s, and I'm happy, okay? So yeah, let's crack this one open and see exactly what grades we got. This is always so nerve-wracking. Okay, so I see the face of the cards. If we do it this way. Yeah, that might be better. I saw the back card, which was the last card we submitted. So what we could do, we could take it from the bottom because I think as we worked down the list, the cards were going to be less valuable. I think, I'm not entirely sure. I've totally forgot. It's only been 5 days. Okay, so the first card we have, this should be the Venusaur, and we're going to reveal that now. So yeah, here we go. So we've got the Venusaur EX from the XY promo. That's sick. In a 6. Actually, I think I predicted maybe 7, 8, or 9 in this, but to say we got a 6, I'm not too bad. Like, I'm not too fussed with this. I'm not too fussed with getting a 6 in this because I like the number 6. And this one is definitely going to be for my personal collection. This is so, so nice, though. So it would be interesting to see what we got graded low in. I'm presuming it is obviously that back edge there that you can just see through there. Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything crazy in this one. So I'm glad this one got a decent number. It's a 6. It's a 6. As long as it's not a 5, okay? Yeah, there we go. First one, Venusaur EX. Not too bad. Not too bad. We'll take that. So next up to bat, we have the Pikachu. Here we go. So this is the Pikachu from the 25th celebrations. It's the full art Pikachu. And I said in my prediction that if it comes back a 10, that's really good. I don't think it would come back a 10. At 9, at an absolute push. If it comes back anything below that, I'm totally okay with that as well. I want to see the artwork on these slabs, as well as, I guess, keep them for my personal collection, or just give them away to one of you guys who drops by the stream. Yeah, so this should be the Pikachu. Let's find out. Oh, a 9. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know if I like that artwork. That artwork just doesn't feel like it matches. I feel like it needs to be green, maybe, to match the bottom. I see what they did, you know, the nighttime sky kind of illuminating the trees, which is why they're a bit blue. Not a fan of the artwork. And to say it's come back a 9 is not, you know what? I'm not too mad at that. I can't really be too mad. Again, I can't really see what was specifically wrong with this one. Let me check. So it was the corners. The corners came back an 8. Surface was a 9. Edges were a 9. And the centering is a 10. That's really good. So the corners are what lets it down. Okay. Is that the roundness or the... Oh, there is some damage at the bottom corner. But that's okay. That's okay. We got... You know, we predicted low grades in some of these, and that's totally okay. So the next one should be the Zapdos EX or the Alakazam EX. I can't remember which order I put them in. And I'm hoping at least one of these comes back a 10, because these were the ones I was hoping, and I was looking at them thinking, this is going to be it. This is going to be a 10 for sure. But, you know, you never really know until it's under the microscope, I guess. So what have we got? You know what? Out of the 2 that we submitted, I thought this was probably going to be a 9, but that's sick. So the Blooming Waters box has been okay so far. That's really good. The Zapdos EX, is this perfect 10s? Let's find out. There we go, Gem Mint 10. Perfect 10 as well. Look at that. Can you guys see that? That is awesome. Perfect 10s. In the Scarlet and Violet era, we get perfect 10s. It's absolute cinema right now. That's sick. I'm so glad with that. So next up should now be the Alakazam. The Alakazam was one that I pulled from a booster bundle, actually. And I was hoping this one could also get a 10, but we'll find out. I mean, I'd be happy. I wouldn't be happy. I'm going to be real. 10s are where we want the grades to be right now. We're entering territory where they're going to be worth a lot more if they are in 10s compared to, you know, these two here were not, I wasn't too fussed about these. But when we get to 151, you kind of hope for 10s. So that's what we're doing. Let's hope. Let's hope. So could we scan it? No, we won't scan it just yet. So this is the Alakazam. Oh, into 9. Actually, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I thought this one out of the 2 was going to be so much better. But I think there's some damage at this corner. Bottom corner there. I think that might be the thing that's letting it down. Let's see. Yeah, so we got 9 surface, which is, you know, it's totally fine for special illustration rares. And then 9 on the corners. I think if one of those was a 10, maybe if corners were a 10, it would probably be a 10 overall. But that's really cool. I really do like the illustration on this one. This looks really nice. I actually like this one as well. I totally forgot to have a look at this one. That's cool. That one's really cool. The only one that I'm not a fan of is this one. This Pikachu that we had. Not a fan. But the Venusaur EX one, tell you that. That's really good. That's really cool. That's going to be kept in my personal collection, I think. So next up, we should be... Wait. Hold on. So this one at the bottom here should be a Charizard. And it should go Charmeleon and then 2 Charmanders. So what we're going to do, we're going to start from the top now. And work our way down. And hopefully the last one will be the Charizard. Let's get it. So the first Charmander. So I had 2 Charmanders that I wanted to submit. And I was tossing and turning between the 2 of them. Because I was like, I want the sequential 10s if I was to get 10s. So this first one was the one I thought might not get a 10. And the other one looked pretty good. So I've submitted them in that order. And hopefully we can get some sequential 10s. Or even sequential 9s. I'm happy with that. The sequentialness is what I want. And I want them to all be in the same grade. So the first Charmander up to bat. Here we go. In a 10. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Hell yeah. And that artwork is really nice as well. That is really clean. You know what? Now I'm a bit concerned because I thought that, well, actually, no. Should I be concerned? I don't know. Actually, no, I'm a bit confused, actually. You see that mark up there, the top left? They've marked it as all 10s, but the corners are a 9. And that makes sense. But I thought that would have taken it down more points. That's quite noticeable, right? I'm surprised that this got a 10. That's interesting. It's very interesting. So next up, we have the second Charmander, which is when we start the Evo line. Fingers crossed. If we can get another 10 here, quid's in. Okay, let's go. How does this come back a 9? There's no marks. There's no marks. Oh, do you know what it probably is? I bet it's surface. I bet the surface is not good. Oh no. Oh no. The sequentialness is not active right now. Edges is an 8. That's so crazy. Subgrade, surface, 10, centering 10, edges 8, corners 9, 8, 10. 10. We got there in the end. Damn, that's crazy. I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. Damn. See, that's one thing that I totally forgot to acknowledge was the edges. I was looking at centering, surface, and corners. I completely forgot about edgeware, unless it was like predominant. But that's a bit disappointing. I'm happy. I'm happy. It's a Charmander in an A slab. It's got the cool artwork, and it's in a 9. That's nice. That's nice. Right, so next up, we have the Charmeleon. And I kind of wanted them in all 10s, but this one is start of the sequential Evo line. So in an ideal world, they would have all been 10s. But if this one's a 9, that's cool. And if the Charizard is a 9, that's also cool because they're sequential 9s. But if these two come back at 10, I'm also happy with that. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. Right, Charmeleon, let's get it. Nice. Nice. Very nice. God damn it. I wish we swapped these Charmanders around. Damn, that's clean. That is really clean. I'm so glad with that. Again, the artwork looks sick. Let's scan this one and see exactly what the grades were for this one. So I like in the new update for Ace is they actually do a scan of the card. I think that's really cool. And you don't have to pay for it. And that got perfect 10s. Hell yeah. We'll take that. We'll take that indeed. So actually, we got a Charmander in a 10, Charmeleon in a 10. Again, they are only like one number apart, but that's kind of cool, I guess. Last but not least, Charizard. This is where a lot of my wish was riding on. I was hoping that this is going to come back a 10. Because if it does come back a 10, I'm most likely going to shift it because I'm not a Charizard fan. So I'll be selling these, like, especially these 10s. I'll be selling these 10s off and probably giving away these 9s for stream or whatever. But these 10s are going to be sold. And hopefully if this comes back a 10, I'm going to sell it and it should cover the cost of the grading and then just a bit more profit. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we get something good here. So the Charizard, oh, I'm nervous. It's also 69. 633 269. Okay, Charizard. Please. Yes. Yes. Let's go. That might be the second Charizard in a 10 I've ever got. That's so sick. Damn, that's cool. I actually, now looking at it, I think the centering is a bit off balance, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see here. Let's have a look. Let's open this. Damn, I'm so glad with that. That's good. That's really good. So we got, wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. Can I show you this? I don't know if you guys can see the back. It does look a bit off center, just a slight bit. So maybe it's not as bad as I thought. That's good to know. That is really good to know. I'm happy with that. Yeah. Hold on. We got the full Evo line in 10s. Yes. And then the Zapdos EX in a 10. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm so happy with that. Let's go. Then obviously we got these 9s, which are pretty cool as well. Sick. And then the one for the personal collection, the Venusaur EX. Damn. Damn. That was sick. That was sick. So after looking at all the cards and getting them all into this sheet that I've made, we've got the grades, we've got the raw price of the cost of the actual card. We're going to be going through the process of comparing it to the current market price and then go through like the profitability that we've made in this, submission return. In the first tab here, we have all the 8 cards all listed here with the correct grades. And then we have the raw prices. So for the Charmander, it's roughly about 40. Charmeleon's a bit cheaper at 30. Charizard is sitting around about 200. The Alakazam, 450, as you can see. Zapdos, around about 70. Pikachu from Celebrations is a bit... It's not the best card, and you can just pick it up. It's kind of like bulk to a lot of people. So that's 4 quid. And then the Venusaur, especially in the condition it was in, around about 30 to 40. But I did up the value just a little bit because, you know, it's my man Venusaur, right? And that comes to, quite funnily enough, 469. Which is the raw price of if you bought all of these cards. Now, so there is like a triple increase in the number here. So we go from 469 to 1,288 market value. And that's kind of like an average of the recent eBay sales as of late. The Charmander is sitting quite high in all this. I didn't actually think it was this expensive, but from recent sales, it was about 200. We have obviously the next Charmander, which is going to be about 50 because that's covering grading costs minus a little bit. Charmeleon was about 150. Charizard was 500, 520. So I've just gone in the middle range. Alakazam was kind of raw price again, plus the grading fee. Zapdos was 200, which was really cool. Pikachu's the same. And the Venusaur EX kind of bumps up because I think people like those old style cards, especially the EX cards, the promo cards. They're quite expensive and getting them graded. Just kind of a cool bit of memorabilia. But like I said, I don't think I'm really going to be selling this piece. So we're going to include it, but I'm not actually going to be selling this one. So yeah, the total comes to 1,288, which seems crazy. Like it seems absolutely crazy. You've got the Charizard going from 200 to 510, which is 150% increase. The Charmander getting like almost, is it 400% increase? I struggle with math sometimes. Same with the Charmeleon. It's crazy that getting a 10 bumps the value up so much, but that's just the market we're in right now. It is kind of on the way down, but I'm hoping by the time I sort this sheet out and get everything listed, I can just move a little bit of it because I would like to get some money back for the product that I bought. And again, we're not going to be including the amount that we paid for the specific products because that's just going to take some time because it was just a bunch of different products. But we're going to include the raw price in the next calculation. As you can see, we have the final price, which I've broken it down, basically just taking the market price and minus the raw value just to show the actual profit margin. As if you actually bought the card as it was and then got it graded, that would be the price that you would essentially be gaining from this. And over on the right hand side, we have the total. Oh, I don't think you can see it right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to shift this along here. Shift that along. There we go. So right next to my head here, you can see a bit of a breakdown of the submission cost. This was a quite expensive one because Ace Grading do daily reminders that they're having submissions open and they usually go pretty quick. So I wanted to grab these because these are some cards that I really wanted to get graded. And it cost me about £25 per submission for a 5-day turnaround. And that's also not including the extra £3 for the Ace label. So we've gone through and created the sum of £28, which is the total of what it would be per card, times it by 8, and we got the value 224. So we've got to keep that in mind. So we spent £224 on just getting these cards graded. So now we have two values. We have the value of the total profit as is, as if we've never bought these cards. We just had them on hand, which we kind of did in a way. Got them graded. We have the final value minus the submission cost. So that brings us to a profit of £1,064 on average, well, roughly, which is insane, really. But if you bought these cards raw, you'll be looking at only a profit of 590-ish pounds. You got 595 here, but 590-ish pounds, which is still really, really good. That's really good. You know, you've doubled your kind of cost of what you've spent. That's pretty good. That's not too bad at all. But that's really mainly down to two factors. We have obviously a very sought after set, the 151. You've got the market price of the Charmander, the Charmeleon, and the Charizard, and the Zapdos almost at least building up about 70%, if not more, of the actual value, which is crazy. So maybe if you're someone that's looking to get cards graded, look for these cheaper ones. I feel like Charmander, if you can pick it up for 40, get it graded, you're looking at a £200 back. That's just from average eBay recent sales as well. So it's not like people aren't buying these. And I think going forward, these are going to be really cool cards to have in a collection, especially in a 10. So yeah, that was quite interesting. I do like Ace Grading. I'm really happy that, you know, it's a UK based company and they do really good slabs. The quality of them's sick. They've definitely improved over the years. Some of the artworks are a bit naff, and I would love to somehow, I guess, suggest ideas, but I don't know how we go about that. But out of all of them, the Pikachu 9, not a fan of the artwork, but the rest of them, fire, so good. And I'm so glad that we got half of them in 10s. That's amazing. That's amazing. So if you're interested in any of these cards, just hop over to, I guess, my store over on eBay, or I might put them on my website. I'm not entirely sure yet. But yeah, just keep an eye out. See you guys when I see you. Don't forget to join the Discord as well. You'll get notified whenever we go live, whenever we post a video, all that good stuff. Yeah. See you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.
Back on cam, that still get torn. Obsidian flames that Charizard born. Temporal force of them hits get sworn. Chat go mad when the rare get drawn. 151 them Kanto kings. Mew X pull them hollow things.